Tell me who rock, who sell out in the stores. You tell me who flop, who cop the blue drop, who jewels got blocks, who's mostly Gucci down to the blue top. The same old pimp, Mace, you know ain't nothing changed but my limp. Can't stop till I see my name on the blimp. Guarantee a million sales, pull a level up. You don't believe in Harlem World, nigga, double up. We don't play around, it's a bet, lay it down. Niggas didn't know me 91, bet they know me now. I'm the young Harlem nigga with the Goldie sound. Can't no PD, niggas hold me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcoming to you all for the second season of the Money Time podcast in the year 2024. This is our first episode. My name is Zweli for those who do not know me, and I am not alone. I'm with my co-host here, Mrs. Nikki House. Nikki, how are you today?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Zweli. I'm doing great. Looking forward to season 2 and how 2024 unfolds for all of us, and trusting that it's a wonderful year for all the viewers.
Certainly hope it's going to be a beautiful year for everyone, especially based on today's topic. Today's topic is finding your life purpose. It's a very good topic to start the year with, Nikki. Thank you so much for always keeping us interested and teaching us a lot of things, because I think a lot of people, it's a very tricky one, this one, when I look at it, because a lot of people, they still don't understand what is their purpose in life, and something they do. And yet they haven't found their real purpose in life. So it's a very tricky one, but it's very interesting, and I'm sure we're going to learn. Maybe we can start by asking, why did you choose this topic out of all the topics you could have started with?
So it's really for a few reasons. As this is the start of a new year, I thought it would be a good topic to help viewers get some direction in terms of their goals for 2024. Also, this is something that has been requested by a few viewers who have contacted me asking questions around this. So I thought it was time that we did a podcast. Also, this particular topic is something that does come up quite frequently when I am coaching clients. As you have gone through the money coaching process with me, you are aware that the whole life purpose concept does come up during our money coaching work. So when this comes up, I find that a lot of clients that I coach get very excited by this particular topic, because to your point, they may have heard of this before, but many are not really aware of what their life purpose is. So I know it's quite a few reasons, but I thought that it would be a good way to kick off season 2.
Well, I'm glad that at least we have people that are interested in the topic, in terms of people contacting you and wanting us to discuss that. Maybe we should start with this question, because as much as it sounds very lame or silly, but I think it's a very relevant question to start with. What is the meaning of life's purpose, Nikki?
So here as well, I'm going to offer different meanings, because finding your life purpose, or the meaning of your life purpose, is something very deep and very personal to each and every one of us. So in a nutshell, to some people, it's finding the reason why you've come here. What is your what brings you fulfillment in this lifetime? What gives you direction and motivation? And why, that big question of why, why am I here? What am I here to do? What is my purpose? So it's deeply personal for each and every one, but in a nutshell, it's just linked to what you've come here to achieve, what brings you joy and fulfillment, what gives you direction and motivation, and what brings you purpose.
Thank you, Nikki. I think it's a very straight forward explanation that I was also hoping to hear, because we tend to have this why question, especially around our lives. Most of the time, every challenge that we come across, we question why. And I think one of the purpose that we are here for is to overcome these things and show the great power that is within us. So the reason why I asked, it's because I know that there is no life that will have no challenges. I don't think even the richest people or the wealthy people that had money at the age of and when they were born in their accounts, they were already savings, would say, I've never had a challenge. So the reason why I ask this is because there's always this why question around why are these things happening to me? Why are these things happening to me? And I just felt that the one thing that comes out for me is the why question, and how we always are expected to overcome the challenges that are within our lives. And for me, that says that much as we have a purpose, but one thing for us to achieve our life's purpose is we have to overcome certain challenges. Just on the question, the follow-up question that I have for you, Nikki, is how can one find their life purpose? How can you do it? Yeah, let me just put it like that.
Okay, thanks for the questions, really. And I'll also touch on some of your comments as I respond to this question as well. So for some people, they know what their life purpose is at a young age or very early, if that makes sense. For other people, it becomes a journey towards figuring out or discovering or exploring what their life purpose is. And it's not uncommon for many people to pass on not having even known or fulfilled their life purpose, right? But we now live in a day and age where people have a greater level of mindfulness, self-awareness, and self-actualization. And that is also the reason why this whole question of what is my life purpose is something that keeps on coming up. So some of the ways in which the viewers out there can look at exploring their life purpose is, the first one would be introspection and self-discovery, right? So here you reflect on what your passions and your interests are. What comes to you with ease? What comes to you where, if I had to get you up at the middle of the night and say to you, Zweli, what can you do right now to make money the next day? And you say to me, Nikki, because I know you well, Zweli, I'm using this example. You can say to me, Nikki, I can create a website or I can advertise my services as a designer of websites at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, or I could even start advertising immediately and have a few queries by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So the first way would be to look at your God-given talents, your natural interests, and your passion. The other one closely linked to that is to identify your strengths and weaknesses. Some of us are aware of what our inherent strengths and weaknesses are. Others possibly are not fully aware of it. Now, for this one, you can always call upon people close to you. This could be colleagues, this could be a spouse, a partner, it could be siblings, close friends, people you know very well, and ask them, okay, you've known me for several years. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? So for Zweli, he's known me for a while. He would very quickly and easily be able to say, Nikki, these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses. So for example, one of my weaknesses is tech-related stuff. So there, Zweli, as my podcast partner, compliments me really well because he takes care of all the technical aspects of the podcast. So that's just one example. Other ways would be aligning to your values. Now, we all have a core set of values, or what I call foundation values. But these values often change as we grow older or we move into different life stages. But our core values do not change, but our subset values change. So another way which you could look at discovering your life purpose is by aligning to your values. Because it doesn't make sense if you have an idea in terms of what your life purpose is, but your life purpose does not align to your values, then there's going to be resistance, there's going to be a disconnect, and then something doesn't fit. It can't possibly be your true life purpose. Other ways would be experimenting and exploring. Now, for some people, they've never had the luxury of trying out new things, exploring things. They've gone from a situation to finishing grade 12, going into technicon or university, studying, going into a job immediately, or some people have gone from grade 12 into a job immediately. So they've never had things like a gap year or the luxury of spending some time at a tertiary institution, exploring what their passion and interests are linked to the academics that they were studying. So I'd say in situations like that, where people have never really had the opportunity to explore, it doesn't mean that it's too late for you. Whatever age you are, whether you're in your teens, 20s, whether you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, it doesn't matter. It's never too late for you to explore, experiment. To give you an example, I recently worked with a client, and this particular client was really excited or very intrigued by science. But after finishing high school, he moved into a job and he just worked for many years. But as he started approaching his retirement and started exploring the concept of what will he do with his life post-retirement, he actually discovered that he shared a great passion in terms of actually brewing alcohol. And just to summarize the whole version, 2 or 3 years later, he's actually got his own distillery where he brews different types of alcohol. But this is something that came up much later in his life because he was never allowed the opportunity at a young age to actually explore what his interests could be. Other ways would be seeking inspiration from others or researching, right? There may be people listening to this podcast and thinking, wow, I would like to start my own podcast. And my podcast will be on, I'm a mom, and my podcast would be aimed at mothers to teach them some skills to help them cope with having a newborn baby, right? So that could be their passion, and it could be sparked by listening to this podcast and the content of this podcast. Other ways, depending on how religious or spiritual you are, would be to pray about it, would be to meditate about it, and a message or something a clue or something could come to you from a higher power or whatever your religious beliefs are. Then also a lot of people like journaling. So you can just take a notebook, pen and paper, when you have some quiet time, just reflect and just journal and just write. Things may come up that you never thought about and surprise you. But this would be a few suggestions that people could use. Other ways would be working with a life coach who would be able to, through the facilitation, exercises, NLP, etc., help you discover your life purpose.
Very interesting, Nikki. Thank you so much for that. I think it was very insightful, and you've said a lot of things that I believe. In fact, I like the fact that you've outlined a lot of methods that one can use or ways that one can find their life purpose through. I'm just going to pick up on two.
Okay.
which mostly commonly people would want to use. And one is the last one that you talked about, praying about it. And I think a lot of people will probably give a testimony on that, to say, I had to pray to find my life purpose. But also there is one that interests me, your life values and what you think you want to do. If there is no connection there, that's very interesting, Nikki. For example, if for one, like the example you just gave about the guy who's brewing alcohol and all that. If and there's nothing wrong with what he's doing. Now, if he didn't believe in the like in just accepting alcohol as something that one can take reasonably, and if like they did not believe at all that alcohol is the way or something that people can consume, then he probably wouldn't have even started the journey, because he wouldn't have found that as his purpose
Yes.
or something that he wanted to do. So I really like the fact that you explained that there has to be a connection, because there's a lot of things that comes into our mind. I'm thinking, I need to, I would like to do this. But when you look at your values and what you want to do, there must be some form of, there must be a match there, or there must be a way to bring them together. If they don't connect, chances are you'll not be able to do it, and somehow automatically it looks like it's not part of the things that you should be doing, or part of your life's purpose. So
Really,
very interesting.
sorry, I just need to interrupt you before this thought escapes my mind. Sorry about this. You know, you'd often find a lot of people working jobs and they're so
Yes.
unhappy in their job. Why is it? Because they're doing something for money and they're not necessarily doing something that brings them joy, fulfillment, or is their passion. And that is one of the most common examples where your values do not necessarily connect with your life purpose or what your greater passion or calling in life is.
Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, no, those were the two that I picked up on, and I can relate with a lot of things that you said. Also, like inspiration. In fact, this podcast was inspired by the conversation we used to have. We didn't
Yes.
even have to look at somebody else, but the conversations that we had, and also looking at what the trend is now in trying to communicate messages. So also that's one way of finding a purpose. Thank you, Nikki. Very interesting and very insightful. Now, my next question is, once you found it, what do you do then? Once you found, now how to get it to where it should be? Because, finding out is one thing, but having to act on your findings, it's something else.
So quite right, Zweli. I mean, you'd find some people will finally discover what their life purpose is, but they'd be content just saying, I've discovered my life purpose. That's it. I don't want to act on it. And that's okay. Or the time may not be right for them to act on it. And you may find that they may act on it in later years. But the thing with discovering or finding your life purpose is it creates so much of excitement within a person when they reach that light bulb moment where it clicks and they find out, aha, this is the reason why I'm here. This is why I've come here, they become so excited by this that nothing can hold them back. And I often have to stop clients and say to them, listen, let's not move forward with the heart. Let's combine the heart and the head. And let's actually plan for you to start getting on track towards your life purpose, as opposed to making impulsive decisions. So I'll give you an example, because I work with a lot of clients from a money coaching perspective, and a lot of my clients are people who are in corporate. Some of them are exceptionally miserable, and they work with me because they're trying to get out of that corporate cycle that they stuck in, and explore other ways of making money and other ways of creating abundance. So in a situation, when I take clients through the whole exercise in terms of how is it that we facilitate to get a client explore and find their life purpose, when they find out, this is it, this is my life purpose, I say to them, you are not resigning immediately. Let us plan. What is your life purpose? Let's use the example of the gentleman who wanted to start the distillery, right? What do you need to start the distillery? Actually, you need to first study. You need to understand how is it that you brew alcohol. Then once you do that, what is the capital required to start a distillery? How are you going to fund it? Is it going to be self-funded? Are you going to apply for a loan? What would be the process? What would be the process to set up a business, right? So you get the drift of what is it that I'm trying to say. Or in summary version, when you discover your life purpose, do act on it, but be logical, sensible, and reasonable in terms of your time frame for implementation, and work with a professional, whether it's a certified life coach, a certified financial planner, a business coach, whomever it is who would be able to support you and assist you with the way forward in terms of fulfilling your life purpose and making it a reality.
Interesting, very interesting, Nikki. You know, I'm thinking as you are talking, there's a lot of things that comes into mind, because I've also been in the journey of understanding. Well, there's a lot that I understand. I know that maybe there's still more that I still need to do, but there's a few things that I understand. And one thing that I remember from me is that I realized very early that I need to go into entrepreneurship, but I delayed. And I'll tell you why.
Please share with us.
Yeah, so there would be things that I do, and you know, sometimes, you know, the mind and the heart, if they don't work together, you have a problem. And I would sit and maybe draw something while I'm say maybe at the parcel counter where I used to work, draw, and people would come through and be like, "You did this," and I was, "Yes," and "What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. You belong somewhere else." And those things, they gave me an idea that I shouldn't be here, and that's when early I knew, but I delayed. And you see, the reason why I've always wanted this podcast is because I know that most of our viewers don't have this information firsthand. And I would really encourage younger viewers to go into our podcast. Not that we don't want older people, no, we want everyone, but much more interesting is younger people, so that they understand these things earlier, because I feel like I got these things late, like very late. And let me just put it blunt, let me just say 35 years after, you know, and you understand. So if I had gotten this information maybe at the age of 18, 20, I would have used it wisely. And so the life purpose, I started knowing, but I delayed, and I had to be pushed by circumstances now, because I didn't have time to plan. When I was still working, I should have put some money away. You know what I used to do? I used to say, no, when the time is right, God will make it happen. And that's fine. But
you need to have God as well,
Yes. And this is what I always say. Prayer, God, they they work with effort. God wants you to make an effort in order for him to enable whatever that you want to do. Because, for example, God is very organized. Is a very organized God. Any God that is high, or any powers that are higher above us, because I don't want us to be strictly using a certain type of God or
Yes.
whatever because of
Yes.
religion. But I believe that it would be a very organized God. That's why it's important to say, if I start understanding my life purpose, then I need to start planning on how do I achieve it. You don't just wake up and say, yeah, I don't have money, I don't have capital, and I'm still working, but I'm going to quit now. And yeah, God will make a way.
Yes.
If you take that approach, you may struggle for some time, and you need to stick to your belief that God will make your way. But for you to get there, you will have to struggle first. We are not saying it's not going to happen. It will happen, but you'll go through those challenges first. But if you give up, then it means that you never stuck to your belief that God will make
Yes.
it happen. So it's a very tricky one. So, but when you are organized and you start planning and wait on it and wait on it, when the time is right, God makes it happen much more easier, because God, there's certain things that he's allowed us to do, like a free will. So if we do not, and there's he made available the financial planners, mentors, and this information out there, for it not to be ignored, but we need to take this information and use it to our advantage. So thank you so much, Nikki, on this. There's a lot that comes into my mind, but because of time, I just want to stop it there.
Zweli,
Yes, Nikki.
I just want to add on this concept of challenges, and you also touched on this when we kicked off the podcast. Here's the thing about finding your life purpose. It doesn't mean that the minute you find your life purpose and you start embarking on that journey of living out your life purpose, that everything becomes sunshine and rainbows and moonshine and roses. No, to your point, Zweli, it isn't necessarily an easy path. But when the challenges come, you remember your why. What is your life purpose? Why are you doing this? And it makes it easier for you to overcome the challenges.
Oh, true. No, thank you so much. In fact, even with, just to add quickly and not waste time, even with the spiritual life purpose, you still need what you touched on about getting in touch with your mentors and all that. Say maybe you are working and you feel that you need to be a pastor, or you feel that you need to minister a certain congregation. You can't just drop everything and say, yeah, now I am ready. You need to have a spiritual parent that will mentor you, make sure that they teach you all these challenges, because it's as much as it's like a free service. It comes with a lot of burden, even financial ones. And if you are not properly guided to do that life purpose, you are going to end up feeling like, this was not meant for me, when you were rushing things or when you misread situations.
Very valid point, Zweli.
Yeah. Now the question is, can you change your life purpose?
Can you change, or can your life purpose change?
Like, sorry, I exactly the way
Okay.
you asked it.
Yes. So here's the thing about discovering your life purpose. Your life purpose, I believe. So some people may disagree with me, and they may say, once you discover your life purpose, it will not change. But in my viewpoint, your life purpose changes as your life stages change, and as circumstances change in your life. The core of your life purpose, I believe, will always remain the same. So if you've come here to make a huge impact on the world through the work that you do, that will always remain, no matter whether you're single or you're a dad with 5 kids or you're retired. That life stage doesn't matter. Even if circumstances change, that may not matter. You may find some circumstances may actually push you forward to create a greater impact. So very simply put, I believe that your life purpose changes as you change, as your circumstances change. Just to give you an example of that, the COVID, which took place soon, we'd be, 3-4 years ago that COVID would have taken place. A lot of
Yeah.
people found themselves questioning or thinking about their why during COVID or post-COVID. Now, COVID was not a pleasant time for some of us. Both Zweli and I have had unfortunate situations where we've lost people very close to us whom we've loved dearly. But the whole situation of COVID, whether it's the loss of loved ones, the loss of jobs, the change in lifestyle, whatever the impact of COVID was, been different impacts on different people, it certainly left more and more people thinking of what is their why. And you find a lot of people who were already on track in terms of their life purpose either looked at slightly tweaking it or changing it based on what happened during COVID.
I hear you, Nikki. I also believe that the core life purpose will never change, but circumstances and even situations may force you to find new ways to keep on fulfilling this life purpose. Because, for example, if you are in business and what you do is you are an entrepreneur, and for you, like COVID hits you and you find yourself having to start from, you may change ways of doing entrepreneurship.
Yes,
You may
definitely.
not stick to the same way you were doing it before COVID. So I also believe that you will be maybe forced to come up with new ways to maneuver through situations, but your core purpose doesn't change. But also, I don't think it makes sense to say that one is just expected to have one thing to do in this world, and maybe some, yes, but maybe some people it's more than just one thing, because I believe there are additional purposes that as you move, as like you said, as you grow, you find yourself having to do more than what you thought you are supposed to do. If you look at it, Nikki, I know you are one person who's very giving and helpful. And when you are studying entrepreneurship, you're not thinking about that element. And I'm just assuming that you were not thinking about that element. But as you were moving with business and you realize that I've just helped a person, and maybe it happened before, and you were excited by that. I really, there's some fulfillment in me
Certainly.
whenever I help a person. And also then it became one of the things that you understood. That one of the things that I should never forget is I'm a person that helps or believes in helping others. So it makes it's more like an additional thing into what you currently were doing. So I believe that there could be more than just one, but all in all, God will look at this as a purpose. And to our eyes, you may look at it as, hey, you did 10 things in life, like consistently, but to God it's just one one big purpose that he brought you into the world for. Yeah. I'm really enjoying this topic, and
I can hear Zweli.
it's really taking me into task in terms of thinking, and also, can you imagine having to reflect while you are doing the podcast itself? It's very good.
Multitasking.
Yeah, it really puts you to task. Now, so Nikki, my next question is, who can a person contact or seek assistance from once, say for example, once I found my life purpose, but I'm still stuck? Who can I go to for assistance?
Simple. I touched on this earlier on. Seek out a certified life coach, specifically one who specializes around the concept of finding your life purpose. That would be easy because the coach would be able to facilitate and guide you in terms of the next steps. You could also require the services of a business coach, depending on what your exploration or discovery has led to in terms of what your life purpose is. Then you'd seek the assistance of a business coach. You may also need the assistance of, be it business mentors, depending on what comes out as your life purpose. There may be other key people that you may have to look at, either networking with or calling upon for support.
Okay, thank you. So basically, you need to refer to somebody with experience.
Correct.
In this case, somebody who is also a professional. I like the coach that helps people to find their life purpose. Their purpose, their life purpose is to enable
Yes,
others.
exactly. That's their purpose, is to
Their
help
purpose
others discover their life purpose.
Exactly. And I believe so much in such, because you know, as human beings, there will be somebody. That's why I think God, the way He created us, He knew that when your time comes to be in this world, there will be somebody higher above in terms of experience, not superior as a human being, no, but in terms of knowledge and experience, to give you the information that you need. So yeah, thank you, Nikki, for that. Are there any books, blogs, or sites that viewers can go to in order to maybe understand more about finding their life purpose?
Sure. So I love reading, so recommend a few books. And maybe what we can do, Zweli, is on the podcast banner, we can also just have this information available for the viewers. The first book that I would like to recommend is a book called Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life by Hector Garcia and Franz Morales. Now, Ikigai is a Japanese word, and the whole book is linked to finding your life purpose and how you can live a longer, happier life when you have purpose. It's a short read, very interesting book. Another book is The Alchemist by Paul Coelho. Another common book, it's linked to a fable about following your dreams and listening to your heart. The third one is a book called The Purpose-Driven Life. What on Earth Am I Here For? By Rick Warren. So that book is also self-explanatory. But this one would appeal to a lot of the viewers on the call who are very spiritually inclined, because it's linked to a 40-day personal spiritual journey, right? Then another favorite of mine is Start With Why How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. This one is by Simon Sinek. He also has quite a few YouTube videos out there where he explains and expands on the concept of your why, but links it specifically to businesses and organizations. Another book that I enjoyed is The Element, How Finding Your Passion Changes Everything. And this is by Ken Robinson.
I'm worried.
Why?
You know, I don't like reading.
They are also available in audiobooks, Zweli.
Exactly. Thank you. That's a relief. I just wanted to hear that part because I struggle with reading, and you know, there's those in school. I think they will tell you that we have visual learners and kinesthetic, what audio visual.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm one of those who does. I'm a very practical person. There's no, I wish I had all that passion to just take a book and read. But I'm more like I prefer more listening than watching or reading. So yeah, thank you for. I'm so relieved. I'm gonna try and look for audio versions of that, so that I can listen rather than read while driving. I think also we need to encourage such, because people. If they know that they're lazy to read, they think there's no other way to get this information.
Not at
So
all.
I'm glad that there are audiobooks for these. Yeah, no, and also it just says a lot about you, Nikki. Yeah.
What does it say, Zweli?
Your life purpose is to read, yes, right? Which gets me to my life. Well, I know my answer. So whatever you're going to give me now, I'll just put it aside. Nikki, my question is, have you found your life purpose?
Okay. So, Zweli, for me, yes, I discovered my life purpose, I'd say, very early in life. And my core life purpose is to serve others through the work that I do. So it's broad-based in the sense that the work that I do is that being a certified financial planner and recently a certified money coach. And through that work, I'm able to serve people, make a difference or impact in their lives, and that brings me fulfillment and joy in my life. But it also stretches further, unbeknown to you. You mentioned it earlier on, is to say that I also serve in other ways. Like this podcast is one of my ways of serving others and giving back to the community. It takes time and effort to put together content for a podcast. I'm very grateful for you to actually host the podcast. And this is a joint effort where we both are jointly giving back to the community. But I also serve and give back in many other ways, whether it's my time by doing pro bono coaching sessions. As you know, I offer a lot of business mentorship. I offer business coaching. I offer money coaching or financial advice. I do know there are a lot of people out there who require my services, but who are unable to pay for it. So I give away I give away my service offering pro bono. And also for me, it's just helping out wherever I can, whether it's with my immediate family, my niece and nephew, my siblings, my friends. You said it quite nicely. I'm always there to give a helping hand. However it may be, whatever I can give, whether it's my time or whatever I have to offer that's of value to others. So I feel very blessed and grateful that I was able to discover my purpose at a very early age. What I will add to it is to say that question that you asked, does your purpose change or does it always remain the same? So my purpose has actually evolved, because initially I thought it was giving back based on the work that I did, being a certified financial planner. But COVID also had a huge impact on me. And I found myself deeply introspecting in terms of my own business, being an entrepreneur as well. And in my role as a certified financial planner, with markets having dipped at that point in time and clients losing a lot of money, I also had to make do some deep introspection about the way forward, about not only my purpose, but my business and a whole lot of other things. And that deep introspection is what led me to the doorstep of the Money Coaching Institute. And that is how I started my certification in money coaching. And since then, I have now qualified as a certified money coach, a certified business archetypes coach, and a certified business couples coach. So for me, my purpose has become much deeper. It's now not only to serve through the work that I do, but to also assist people heal their money wounds or their money traumas, whatever it may be. So that's how my purpose has evolved as I have evolved. And Zweli, you can't ask me this question and not expect me to ask the same question of you. So Zweli, tell me and the viewers, have you discovered your life purpose?
Nikki, I have, and I believe I am still doing that because, like I said, I think the right term that you used is evolve. Because I explained it and said I don't believe that you just have one purpose. It can just a situation may make you have more responsibilities, but I think the right term is evolving in understanding your purpose. So I believe that I started I discovered it early. I delayed on implementation, and then circumstances forced me into it, and I had to say God will make a way, and I had to struggle to get to it. And then once I found my purpose, of course, I think we were very similar. Also, my purpose, I believe, is to serve others through the skills and the talents that I have, and in corporate and also within the congregation that I am under, because I do a lot of work there in serving, but just based on my skills. So I do a lot of work under my congregation, or the congregation that I belong under, because now people will think I own a congregation. No, I don't. But then similar to you, in fact, during COVID, I discovered that I could start a radio podcast when the church couldn't come together. I had to come up with a way of keeping communication and, scriptures being read to our church members. And from that, I realized that I met you and realized how much information you had, and I having the ability to make sure that that information can go out there. I felt that here's another life purpose for me, to get Nikki's information to others. Well, it's not really your information, but your knowledge and your experiences to others. And I said to myself, this is one thing that makes me happy to listen to and see the results, because it's one thing to just listen to you and not see end result. But whatever that we're doing at the time, when I started implementing it, you took out a lot of some of the things I knew, but you really forced them out of me and made me realize that, Zweli, this is what you are sitting with, and that you are not using to make yourself a better person. So I would say it has evolved, but yeah, with me, I knew it early that it's to serve and help, because I also love helping. From the young age, my mom always saw that I never want to see another kid not having what I have. Or I would always ask, whenever my mom brings me clothes, I would ask, Mom, where are the clothes for my cousin? And she would say, no, I'm going to bring them tomorrow. And she would do that. So because we grew up closely with my cousin brothers who were at the same age as me. And that's when I knew that I love helping people. Nikki, it fulfills me to sleep knowing that I've helped somebody. It's one thing that I enjoy doing. And I'm glad that sometimes this journey of entrepreneurship enables you to do that, because, if you know that you hired a person for a day and you paid them and they say, thank you, I was able to do A or B with that money.
Yes.
It fulfills you. You know that I am still doing the right thing. I'm
Yes.
still serving my purpose in life. So yes, I have found my purpose, and thanks to you as well, it has evolved after really starting to do some of the coaching that you did with me. And I still believe that there's still more to evolve into. I don't think this is the ceiling. I think we still have a lot more to do.
So just to add on what you said, Zweli, some of the viewers out there will not be aware of the money archetypes that we utilize during money coaching. But very high level viewers, Zweli and I share an archetype in common, being the martyr archetype. And martyrs are generally people who put others' needs first before their own. And both Zweli and I have had to work on balancing this archetype in our personal lives. And we know each other well enough to know each other's journeys. And that's the thing with us as martyrs. We're here to give. And that's the reason why our life purpose is actually very similar.
Thank you, Nikki. Yeah, I think that was my last question. But then, any final words to the viewers before we close our first episode podcast for 2024?
Yes, so no, not really any comments, more of a wish for the viewers. As we start a new year, my wish to each and every one of you out there is that you discover your life purpose. And those of you who have already discovered your life purpose, I wish you all the best as you embark on your life's journey and fulfill your life purpose.
Yeah, thank you. You've literally taken my words, because, no, I didn't think of wishing, but for those who already have a life purpose, I would say, please make sure that you go for it, because sometimes do something about it. I think this is one thing that always comes up whenever we talk, that start. And starting doesn't mean you are already implementing. Start means make a plan, budget, whatever, talk to people, start. That's a very important thing. What I've learned over the years, especially with even this podcast, is that we did not have any resource, nothing whatsoever. But when we started talking, me and Nikki, and she said, well, I'm going to have to get my own equipment. And I said, Nick, I already have something on my side with regards to that. And we started. And 2 days later, you came back and said, I got these things. Then I realized how serious we were. Because by that time, I had also started designing the logos and the look and feel. So when you start, that's the most important part. The rest will come into place. So make sure that once you've discovered, don't sit and say, yeah, now I know, I will act on it later, because we don't know. We don't always have time, or maybe
Yes.
by the time you start your purpose, you'll be behind, because now you would have been 5 years in line with your purpose, but now you have to start 5 years later. It means you are behind by 5 years. Imagine if you were to be the person that helps people, how many people you could have helped in that 5 years.
That's
Now,
true.
so please, let's learn to start. And start doesn't mean go break your bank account. No, it means start planning, start thinking, start talking
Small
to people.
steps, small
Small
steps, but just take action.
Thank you, Nikki. I'm not going to be dwelling on this because I feel like it's a very passionate topic, and you end up talking and not stopping. So thank you very much, Nikki, for this episode. Looking forward to our next episode. Yeah, that's all I can say. For me, it's a goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and I look forward to seeing you at the next podcast. Bye.